what even was that? Coworker? Friend? But I don't cry anymore. I wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody, and I'm sure you guys understand why. It is not necessarily a secret that I haven't been the best at uploading in 2023, and I'm not proud of it whatsoever, but I also can't do anything to go back and change it. So I was sitting here and I was thinking, okay, what can I do to kind of make up for that, fill you guys in on anything you might have missed because of my lack of posting, and head into 2024 with a bang. And I was thinking it might be fun to sit down and do a best ofs 2023 video, really give you guys the details on, like, you know, some of the fun things that you missed throughout the year, and also do a full-blown dating wrapped so you can see what my dating life looked like for the past 365 days. You guys know I pick and choose what I talk about on this channel very strategically, especially about my dating life, and 2023 was the year that I opened up the most about it, not necessarily on my platforms, but other platforms. So I figured it's about time that I give you guys to sit down and really show you what it was like, good, bad, ugly. This is gonna be fun. I also haven't done a sit down talking video in a hot minute, so I feel like we're overdue. Let's kick off our best of section with my best night out of 2023. We started the year off very strong because my best night out of 2023 was the third weekend in January. The way this all came about is still so weird to me, and this is just like the epitome of New York, to be honest with you. The day started with day drinking with me and my friend Sky. Her and I were just like in the mood to go from bar to bar in the West Village, and it started off pretty tame. We went to this place called Bartuzzi, we got amazing espresso martinis, and we just walked around. And later on in that day, we were walking into a bar that I go to all the time, and this random guy comes up behind me and he's like, hey, this is random, but there's a party going on tonight and I think that you guys should come. And immediately when a random dude is approaching you in the street being like, come to this party, my immediate reaction is not to say yes, but when he dropped the words Tribeca Penthouse, my ears perked up. So as the day went on, I was talking to my friends Sky and Lindsay, and I was like, do you guys think we should just go? Like, there's power in numbers. They're not gonna kidnap all three of us. So maybe we just try, and if it seems sketchy, if it seems weird, we leave. So we went. And right when we got there, they had everything from coat check to an open bar to a DJ. It was the most insane apartment I have ever seen. That night started at 11 p.m. and I didn't walk into my apartment until 5:30. So that was great. But what was less great was 2 days later, I got hit with the literal plague. I still don't know what I was sick with. I tested negative for COVID and it didn't feel like the flu. But all I know is that I was bedridden for literally a week and a half. It was the most sick I have ever been, I think. I felt disgusting. But none of my other friends got sick, thankfully. So I still don't know what that was. And it was kind of shitty because that took me all the way into February. But the party, I'm not gonna lie, kind of worth it. I love surprises so much. I know that some people don't like them, whether it's because they don't like having the pressure on them to react well or they don't like being caught off guard, but I just find them so exciting. And without a doubt, the greatest surprise of 2023 was when my aunt, my uncle, and their 4 kids surprised us in New York on Thanksgiving. All of them live out of state, so I don't really get to see any of those members of my family nearly as often as I'd like to, and especially when it comes to holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I just think that they're so much better spent with little kids running around. It just makes it feel a lot more innocent, a lot more fun, and every year when we don't get to spend it with them, I definitely get a little sad, but I never expect them to be there by any means. But this year came along and we walked into my grandma's apartment like we always do, and she was acting a little weird. She was like, all right, everybody go put your coats in the back room and you all should come with me at the same time because I have to show you something in there. And we're like, okay. Obviously none of us are expecting it, and the second we walk into that room, my aunt, my uncle, and their 4 kids jump out and they're like, surprise! And it was the greatest moment ever. I mean, obviously immediate waterworks. Immediately started crying, and it was honestly the best Thanksgiving I've had in a really, really long time. One of my biggest New Year's resolutions for 2023 was to prioritize spending money on concert tickets. I feel like that's one of those things that I never regret spending the money on, regardless of how expensive it is, because I always have such an amazing time and I value experiences over material items any day of the week. And I went to quite a few concerts in 2023. I think the total count was like 7. Obviously work helped with that because I was able to see Post Malone in Times Square, which was certainly not on my bingo card for the year, but it was so much fun. But I gotta say my favorite concert, the best concert that I went to last year, was Lizzie McAlpine. Obviously I loved going to this concert because she's incredibly talented and sounded even better live, but the largest reason why this was my favorite concert of the year is because I decided to go to it 45 minutes before it started. I had no idea that she was touring, let alone in New York, and I just decided on a whim to check for her tickets. And when I saw that her concert doors were opening in 45 minutes, I dropped everything, bought one singular ticket, and I went. I'm comfortable doing quite a few things alone. I go and I eat meals alone, go on walks, run errands, and that's not a problem, but there's something that feels very daunting about going to a concert alone, and I had never done it before. So pulling the trigger and buying that one ticket and going felt really liberating in a weird way, and I had such an amazing time, and it kind of just showed me that I genuinely do enjoy my own company, and I can go and do things like that by myself and still have a really great time. Best milestone of the year. This one was a toss-up between something that happened to me personally and a milestone for my little brother, so I had to cover both of them. For me personally, 2023 was the year that I hit 10 years on social media, which is crazy. Like, I still can't get over the fact that we are now approaching 11 years online. Like, 11 years of my life are documented on this YouTube channel for you guys to watch. That is insane. So definitely was a major milestone for me, and we celebrated it together. I made a video about it and I recreated a little part of my first ever video. But the second milestone was for my little brother, and he graduated college in 2023. He graduated from Syracuse University and he is now in grad school, which is wild. He's like a full-blown adult, which is terrifying. And going and watching his graduation was such an incredible moment. I feel like I partly was able to live vicariously through him because I didn't personally have a graduation, but just seeing him in his element with all of his friends was so special. Best purchase of the year. This one was hard because obviously this year I purchased everything from products that I feel like really stepped up my makeup game, and concert tickets, everything like that. But if I'm really looking back on it, I think my best purchase of the year was classes to Broadway Dance Center. In 2023, I got back out there and I started taking hip hop classes. I grew up dancing and I took a very long hiatus of taking any sort of class all throughout college and post-grad. So getting back into that with the free time I had of, you know, being self-employed was a really big jump for me. Obviously a little scary, but the feeling of being able to get right back into it and seeing that I haven't totally lost the skill that I had when I was younger was really validating for me, and I had so much fun, and it's something that I'm picking back up this year as well. We're gonna have to work around the schedule a little bit more because obviously I'm not self-employed any longer, so I can't take classes in the middle of the day, but I want to prioritize in 2024 taking those classes again. I could not make this list of best ofs without talking about my best weekend of 2023, which was hands down my birthday weekend. I turned 25 years old in 2023, and I celebrated that birthday the way that I've celebrated pretty much, I think, my past 5 birthdays, which is a weekend in the Hamptons with all of my closest friends. To that weekend every year. Beyond the fact that it's just my birthday, I just love any excuse to have all of my favorite people in one room for an extended period of time. It just makes for the best quality time and also makes for the best stories, because that weekend just, it never fails to be kind of interesting. For any reason, like there's always just some random shit that pops up that has us all sitting there on Monday morning being like, what even was that? Last but not least, what was my best moment of 2023? Drum roll please. And I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this coming. My best moment of 2023, hands down, was getting my new job. I have gone on and on and on about how grateful I am to have been given this opportunity. I got the job. I got the job. I got the job. If you guys want to watch my entire journey, if you haven't already, I definitely recommend that you watch all the videos that I made kind of discussing why I quit my last job and going through the job search process and finally landing this job that I'm currently working. It was the most transformative experience of my life, just going through that whole job search process. And this job that I landed was the exact opportunity that I needed, that came at the exact time that I needed it, and continues to be the exact thing that fuels me the most. And I just could not be more grateful for it. And that pretty much summarizes the best of 2023. Obviously, there are more moments that I'm forgetting about, and I'll probably remember as I'm editing this video and beat myself up for not mentioning, but you know what? That's fine. These were the things that came to mind first, and I'm just really grateful for all of these incredible moments that came to me in 2023. But now we need to move into what you guys are probably more excited to hear about, which is my 2023 dating wrapped. I wish I could say that I made this whole fancy schmancy PowerPoint presentation like all the TikTok girls do, but I did not. So we're gonna have to do this verbally. I hope that's okay. But last year I dated a total of 10 guys. I don't know if that number is big or small in comparison to what some of you guys might have experienced, but I think that was a pretty good number for me. The majority of my dating took place in the first half of the year because I went through something in January and I was just like coming off of that, and I needed something to distract me. So that's definitely when I dated the most, probably up until June. During the summer, I tend to take a little bit of a dating hiatus because there's just so much going on and dating is not at the forefront of my mind by any means. And then once the fall hit, I went through a little bit of a saga. If you know, you know, you listen to my episodes on Match Made in Manhattan. If you haven't done that, I recommend that you do. I'll have the link down below. Coming out of that whole situation, I wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody of the male gender, and I'm sure you guys understand why. So let's break it down. I have some notes written down so I don't forget things. I dated, like I said, total of 10 guys this year, and 3 of those guys made it past the first date. When I'm looking at it, that doesn't really feel like that big of a number, but I'm fine with it. Like, the guys that didn't make it past the first date, I know why they didn't. Like, I just didn't really either feel chemistry or they weren't really communicative after the fact. And yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable with that number. And the 3 guys that made it past the first date were pretty cool. So I'm happy with that. A very large majority of the dates that I went on this past year were drinks dates. I just feel like that is the easiest, and it doesn't lock me into a full meal. I don't have to feel pressured to like be with this person for an extended period of time if I don't want to. However, one thing about me is I love a long date. I don't do it purposefully, but I'm definitely not one of those people to cut off a date after like 2 hours if I'm having a good time. I have and I did do this in 2023. I have been known to go on dates for like 5 hours. Even though I did go on a lot of drinks dates this year, I was able to check two things off of my dating bucket list. The first of which was going ice skating at Rockefeller Center. There was always something that, you know, you see in movies and you're like, ooh, that'd be fun to do that for a date. And I did. And it was really great. That was one of the guys that went past the first date. I went on, was it 3 dates with him? And he was a very nice boy. Didn't end up working out, but that's okay. He took me on a great date and I still really respect him. And he was super cute. The other thing that I can check off my bucket list is going on a date to a Michelin star restaurant. This was crazy. This one guy that I dated in the beginning of last year was such a big foodie, and every single one of our dates from the first to the, I think I went on 4 total with him, they were all dinner dates, and he took me to some of the most incredible restaurants. Like, I still cannot believe that. And one of those restaurants that he took me to was a Michelin star, and it was delicious. He also just went through and ordered like the entire menu, so really got a tasting there. It was a lot of fun. Now let's talk about how I met these guys. I met 3 of them out in the wild, which is definitely my preferred way of meeting people. I met 1 in a bar. I met 1 on a train, which again, if you guys listen to my episode of Match Made in Manhattan, the first one that I recorded, I tell that story. And then the last one, who was that? Oh, the last one I met through a guy that I met at a bar. Like, I met his friend at a bar and then his friend set me up with his friend. Kind of random. So that's great. I met 6 of them on Hinge, which again, not my preferred, but it is the most convenient. So met 6 of those guys on Hinge, and then 1 of them was an old friend of mine. Coworker? Friend? I don't really know what to call him. We were friends. Now obviously none of these dates worked out because I am still single. So let's talk about how each of them ended. I ended 5 of them, which honestly pretty proud of myself for. Really taking that power back in 2023, which was necessary for what happened in January of last year. So proud of myself for that, because I ended it very amicably and very maturely, but just like ended it because I wasn't feeling it, and that's okay. 4 of them were a mutual ghost or fade, which I feel like is totally acceptable, especially after a first date. I don't think that you owe anybody like a major conversation if you've only gone out for drinks with them one time, but past that, it's a different story, which leads us to heartbreak number 1 of the year. I got ghosted in the beginning of 2023 by a guy that I had been seeing for just about 4 months, which was super fun. Now do you understand why the majority of my dating went on in the first half of the year? I really needed to like get back out there and distract myself, which unfortunately didn't work out quite the way that I hoped, but it's fine. So in total this year, I did get my heart broken twice. One of them was by the ghoster, and the second one, you guys can listen to my podcast episodes. So that wasn't fun, but I'll say that the 2 of those situations taught me quite a bit, and I think I'm stronger for it. Do I wish it on my worst enemy? Literally no. I don't wish either of those situations on my worst enemy. They were terrible, and I did cry quite a bit, but I don't cry anymore. And now I know red flags to look out for, so you know what? I think that's a win. And that, my friends, concludes my 2023 recap. I had so much fun filming this video, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of felt like I was back on that podcast. So if you guys like videos like this, let me know. I'd be more than happy to make this a annual occurrence. I could do another 2024 recap like this if you want. But I just want to thank you guys so much for all of the support that you showed me this past year, and for being patient with me more than anything. I know that my activity across all of my platforms has kind of fluctuated. Instagram has definitely seen a lot more action from me than YouTube has, but I want to try and even that out a little bit more. But if you do feel the desire to keep up with me, I do post a lot on Instagram, and I've been posting a lot more on TikTok. So if you want to keep up, that's how you can do it. But more than anything, I just want to say that I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!